Hey, Philip, you ready for another season of the I formation?
Yeah! You need to put some more air in this thing.
Hi, and welcome to Season 4 of the I Formation. I'm Jeff Gibbons.
And I'm John Moist.
Another year in the books, my friend. And back again after a long wait. Can't wait to get back and see some more football. Just a few days out here. We're actually taping a little early this week because we want to talk a little bit about our picks, not only for the week 1 of the NFL season, but we also want to talk about our division winners and who we feel is going to go to the Super Bowl. So lots to talk about. Maybe we should get started right away.
Sure. Jump right into it.
All right. So let's look at the AFC first. And the AFC North, I think we both agree.
Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Pretty balanced attack, perennial favorite.
Yeah.
Right? You know, expecting things out of Forsett and, of course, Joe Flacco.
That's right.
Right? The East, our first of many agreements this year. I'm going with the Miami Dolphins. Bucky Brooks said this week. I was sort of reading up on what some of the pundits were saying, and he figures that the big difference to the Miami Dolphins this year is going to be the front three. And I mean, we're all looking at that very closely. And Ndamukong Suh now in the mix. We've got Olivier Vernon and of course Cameron Wake, which is a formidable front three. In a division like the AFC East, I think that's a huge thing, and a lot of these teams are really beefed up defensively this year. And I think it's going to be a really, really close division. But it's going to be won and lost in the division games this year. There'll just be no margin for error. So whoever does well in the division is going to win. Yeah. So I think that's where you probably are on this too, because you're picking.
Well, I think New England has a more balanced attack. I also think that this is going to be a very close division, probably won by a single game. And Jeff was saying earlier that the last game of the season is between New England and Miami, which should be a very big game.
In Miami.
I think Miami is, of course, much improved. There's no doubt about that. You're going to see a lot of Devontae Parker out there. I'm not sure if he's questionable to start the season. Not sure if he'll be playing first game. That's not up yet. But I think that Miami got a few questions there on the offensive line. I know Brandon Albert's coming back, but is he 100%? And New England, I just think, has a little bit more balance there, a few more weapons, and I like the Patriots to win the division.
A few more tricks up your sleeve, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll see.
Another big year for Gronk.
I think, yeah, Gronk win. Gronk no cheat. On to the South. We're both agreeing, I think, on the Indianapolis Colts here.
I think that's a no-brainer. I really do.
Frank Gore in the mix now.
Yeah.
Trent Richardson finally gone, the pariah that was Trent Richardson.
Right.
And now, Andre Johnson at wide, and you've got Philip Dorsett also in the mix up there now too. So
that's right.
Lots of firepower for Andrew Luck, who's, and I know there's people out there that don't agree that Luck is a premier quarterback in the league, but this will be yet another chance to prove it. And I'm actually going so far as to say that the Colts are the #1 seed in the AFC East. That's my pick. I'm looking at the schedule. They're talking about Andre Johnson getting back in week 3 now. That may make a difference, but I think the Colts can win 13 games this year. I really do.
That's a lot of wins. I'm not sure they're going to get that high, but I like the pick, and I also like that. I think that Andrew Luck is a pure passer and one of the best in the game, and he's going to prove it this year once again.
And now if we go to the West, and I'm pretty sure I know who you're picking there.
Denver Broncos.
And we're disagreeing again. Tell me what you'd like.
I like the Denver Broncos to win the division because of their defense. Peyton Manning is there. A little bit worried about their offensive line. They've lost some players there, and Manning, hopefully he can stay healthy with the offensive line not being as good as it was. Demaryius Thomas there is a great receiver. He's going to be maybe lead the league in receiving this year. I wouldn't be surprised. but it's their defense that, and they picked up Evan Mathis from the Eagles as well, which is going to beef up their defense even more. I think Denver has one of the top defenses in the game and takes the division.
I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, for those who've tuned in over the last few years, I've I've had it for the Chiefs a couple of times, and thinking that, I remember one year when their running back went down.
Jamal Charles.
Yeah, Jamal Charles, like on the first or second snap of the season,
Yeah,
that sort of changed things. I also had him on my fantasy pool that year, but I think this year, they've added Jeremy Maclin to the mix, which I think is a huge piece for that game in the air. Also, Travis Kelce, their tight end, has grown in the role, and I think that, all things being equal and being healthy, this is another good division race where I feel that. I really think it's going to go right down to the wire and to the point where they edge out the Broncos. It's going to be that close. I remember last year we were looking at the games that they played against each other, and that that was the defining moment. Both of those teams are capable of winning, and I just think that's Casey's year. Okay, next we've got wild cards. Now, how you want to do this? You want to tell me who you feel the wild cards are first?
I think the Dolphins have a much improved team. I think they're going to finish just below the Patriots in their division, and they're going to have a good enough record to win the wild card here. They've got some really good receivers out there now. They picked up, was it Kenny Stills as well? And they've got rookie Devontae Parker, watch for him. And Jarvis Landry might be the #1 receiver there in Miami. Not to mention Cameron Jordan, who they picked up at tight end. A lot of weapons there in Miami. They've got some running backs. You've got about 3 or 4 running backs there. Anybody can step up. It's got to be one star among them, you would think. And their defense is just going to be one of the best in the game for sure. So I like Miami to get a wild card. And my other wild card will be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Even though their secondary is questionable here now, safeties are not what they were, but the Steelers just have a lot of offense. They're going to miss Le'Veon Bell and Martavis Bryant, who are both out with PED suspensions, and when they get back, though, they're going to be a great offensive team.
It's funny, I'm picking Pittsburgh to be a wild card as well. I think Baltimore wins that division with 12 games. I think that, Pittsburgh is probably going to be in at 11. I think it's going to take 11 to get a wild card this year. It really is. And I'm picking New England on the flip side of the Dolphins, where we see that there's a flip-flop there, because I think that that the other one is coming out of the AFC East for the first time in a while. Okay, let's move on to the NFC. And starting with the North, I think that's a no-brainer too for both of us. We're both picking the Packers there.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other team that comes close to the Packers in that division.
The rules have changed a little bit in there now with the introduction of Adrian Peterson into that division. I think that I realize Peterson is older and he's a couple of years away from that big breakout performance.
So Minnesota's going to have a good team here. They're going to finish second in that division.
I think so too. Yeah. They're going to be setting the tone and putting the pressure on Green Bay. They got Eddie Lacy there and Devontae Adams out wide, right? So there's I think again this is another division that depends on wins inside. You can't throw away a game against the Bears or against the Vikings, right? That's the way, or Detroit. That's the way it's going to roll. And the team that misses out here is going to be the one that gives away one of these games somewhere along that line.
Yeah, I think the Bears finish in the basement this year. I don't see much for them. Their defense is struggling to get old. They need to get some youth in there.
Mm-hmm. Next round of the East, and we disagree here. And this is a perennial thing. But try to sell me first, John, on why you're picking who you're picking and why.
I'm picking the Dallas Cowboys mostly because of their offensive line. Offensive line last year that allowed DeMarco Murray to lead the league in rushing, and I know they got Darren McFadden now and Lance Dunbar. I don't think Darren McFadden is going to be the #1 running back in there. I think Randall or Dunbar will be. Des Bryant is still in great shape. He's going to have a good year, even though I don't like him. And
nice.
And I think Romo is a good quarterback, and with the offensive line that he's got in front of him, I think Dallas will edge out the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, when I first was looking at this division, I was looking long and hard at the Giants because they've got a lot of weapons too. But on looking closer, I think the Giants are lacking a little bit on defense.
I still think they could be a giant
especially
killer.
Especially safeties.
What? Coin a phrase. They could be a giant killer. They could win that big David game, somewhere along the way. Okay, fair enough. Now, see, I'm picking the Eagles this time, and no, this is not an attack on the Dallas Cowboys. It's not about that. I've really looked long and hard at this, and I've flip-flopped several times. But I'm going with the Eagles. The independent variable is going to be how well is Sam Bradford going to last, or is he going to be healthy? Because I think Bradford can make a difference in this Chip Kelly offense.
Well, it's another team with a great offensive line too, though. And
right?
Can certainly help them.
And they got that 1-2 punch on the ground now. DeMarco Murray staying in that division and coming over there for the Eagles. And you've also got Ryan Matthews, who I think can take reps reputably, and then both of these guys can hurt you.
Yeah, big 1-2 punch. And Darren Sproles too, doesn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. Also, defense and special teams, not too shabby in Philadelphia. We saw their special teams, especially last year, come up with some really, really big outings for them. And I think they're edging the Cowboys out, similar to what you thought about the Cowboys edging out the Eagles. But without worry, and you're right, probably the best O-line in the game in the Dallas Cowboys. And McFadden is not going to be the number one if he can't stay healthy, and he's had really bad history of having a glass jaw. Having a couple of good games and then end up with an injury. And also, they added Greg Hardy to the lineup now for pass rush. I realize Hardy's just gotten his suspension reduced now to 4 games, I believe.
Yes.
So I mean, he'll make a difference to that pass defense for them. And plus, the rookie I think is Randy Gregory. I think they're expecting big things from him as well. So close, but I think it's going to go the other way. That's just my take. Good. Wow. Agree to disagree already. Next, we got the NFC South. And surprisingly, we both agree on this, and I didn't think this was going to happen. But
because most of the pundits are saying that Carolina will win this division, but myself and Jeff both think it's the Saints. What do you think, that?
Well, it's more like the best of the worst. That's probably still the weakest division in the NFL now.
Sure. Yeah.
Somebody made a joke this week. They were talking about picks, and they said first team to 9, they was going to win that division. I don't know if it's quite that bad. I think these guys could pull away. We've seen the Panthers lose Kevin Benjamin for the year, which is a huge blow to that team. Also, Tampa Bay now is in a renewal sort of state, bringing in this Jameis Winston now, and new quarterback. Tough, for that team of that caliber, being Tampa Bay as it is now, to say that they're going to step up just because they're putting Winston in the lineup. I think he's got to go through that learning curve. I think it's going to take him a while to settle into that role.
Once again, though, with the defense that Tampa has, another team that could pull the big upset and make a big difference in that division.
Yeah, they're definitely the giants of that division. Yeah. That's right. You're right. Or the Bills, that kind of a team. And of course the Falcons, they've got a real new look, and I think they're rebuilding as well. Matt Ryan, he said something today, we were talking, he said he's probably going to be the most sacked quarterback this year.
Their offensive line's not very good.
So yeah, that takes them out of the mix, and they've got a ways to go. Yeah. Having said that, anything could happen there, but I think we're both, the Aints go to Saints again, and they win that division title.
Yeah, well, speaking of Atlanta, though, we got this guy, Vic Beasley, who's a rookie coming in there now. And this guy is one heck of, he's on the left defense, watch for him, and left defensive end, and he looks to me kind of like DeMarcus Ware. He's big, he's fast, athletic. I think I read somewhere that even at 340 pounds, somewhere around there, he ran a 4.5, which is insane. So he's big and he's fast.
Yeah. You get me going at a chip wagon. Man, it could happen, right? Yeah. Downhill especially. All right. Next, we got the West.
Rolling.
Yeah, that's right. the hard part for me is the stop. Okay. Next, we got Seattle in the West. I mean, it's just pretty much as simple as I was going to say the Western Division, but it's the Seattle Division, really.
Yeah.
It's hard to see it any other way, folks. I mean, back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. I'm pretty sure if they had the time back, they would have ran that last play, and they would have had 2 rings.
Actually, I think he said after that he would have ran the same play, but I
don't believe that for a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, that had all the makings of a JFK conspiracy. I'm sorry,
it was just crazy. I mean,
I'm just going to put this last season
Marshawn
behind
Lynch in
us.
the back. I think I'll throw the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. No. Yeah, that's it. Took the air out of that offense. Yeah. If you had to pick a hole in the Seattle Seahawks, it's probably the offensive line.
Yeah, with lots of max on there.
Yeah. I mean, that's a piece. They're also dealing with this Cam Chancellor thing. I mean, he didn't show visibly on the 53-man roster as of this weekend, but of course, there's room to put him back in there should he come back.
Yeah.
He has to walk back in the door and say, I'm going to play. The Giants, I think, were interested in him. There's still some talk that he may move, but I think at the end of the day, they're going to sign Chancellor.
Giants need him.
Yeah, well, I think he certainly adds to the depth of the Seattle defense as well. From a defensive end perspective, he's quite an addition to that team. But they're pretty deep.
Yeah, keep an eye on this guy Lockett. That's how we were talking about him earlier.
Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett, yeah.
They actually have a Ricardo Lockett as well as a wide receiver. Right? So that's right. Yeah. You got to make sure you get the right piece of jewelry there.
Yeah. I'm talking about the rookie.
That's right. The rookie Lockett.
Yeah.
That sounds like almost Danish. Rookie Lockett. All right, man. Just trying to get back into the swing of things here now. Make this fun. Okay. So, and also they picked up Jimmy Graham too. So that's he never hurts a team. So when you're trying to look at that threat downfield, certainly that makes a difference as well. Wild cards, John. Who do you like this year?
I think I'll go with the Eagles as a wild card, and the Arizona Cardinals.
I got Arizona as the first wild card spot. I agree with you 100% there. I think this is Carson Palmer's year.
Yeah.
He's here to make it.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. And in another parallel universe, without the Seattle Seahawks, they win that division.
Yes.
And I think that it's a totally different look out in the NFC. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings edging out the Cowboys, and only because the two of them they flip flop in our division run, like the Cowboys and the Eagles, and really this is a tough call, and this one's for you, Paul Cicero. This is a tough call. This is not anti-Cowboy. This is about me looking at it and thinking, okay, it's going to be that close, and it could be a coin flip towards the end of the season. The one guarantee is that Washington is not going to make it, so we're there, right? Back to the subs, and I see that actually RG3 held on to his spot there, and Gruden is standing behind him as firmly as the number 2, and he's one neurologist appointment away, I think, from concussion protocol completion as well. So he's going to be there, but it's going to be a postseason. I'm thinking without the Cowboys this year. That's just my call, and gutsy as it may be. So, Super Bowl. Who do you see?
I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers and the Baltimore Ravens.
Not a bad call. I toyed with the idea of sending Green Bay to the final as well. But I'm sorry. As much as Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, probably the best in the league, mm-hmm. I think that they're going to, you're still going to have tough time with the Legion of Boom. And I think that if they're healthy and all things being equal, that defense is going to be enough to keep that offense where it needs to be. And I think that, like I say, Seattle has gotten better offensively, so they're going to be a tough nut to crack.
I don't know that Graham Anthony is not cringing when I said Baltimore Ravens. I know you are.
Perennial favorites. And Pittsburgh, they're still around their potential, but they're not there yet, I don't think. And there's still some questions to be answered there in that Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh franchise. Yeah.
Taking a hit.
Now, in the AFC, I'm picking the Indianapolis Colts to win it all in the AFC. And that's by virtue of their schedule, and I think that they get that top seed, and I think that helps them get to where they need to be. Okay. The short stack, so to speak. Do they have enough to beat the Seahawks? Maybe on any given Sunday anybody could beat anybody else, but I think statistically I got to go with the Seahawks winning that close, even with luck, orchestrating a good second half and making it close.
I was torn between Green Bay and Seattle actually winning the Super Bowl, but I'm going to go with Green Bay. Seattle is certainly a strong team. I think one of those teams wins it all this year.
Okay. So Paul Loader is probably happy with me, and who knows? You got a buddy lived here. It was a Green Bay buddy who watches all the time. That's you got a buddy, Packers fan?
Not sure.
Barry Fitz Jr., I know you're out there listening to me, and you're a cheesehead, so you're probably excited about that too. But I have him in respect. Yeah, Fitz Jr.
Oh, isn't that Larry's cousin?
Yeah, that's right. Larry's cousin Barry.
Okay.
You see the family resemblance when you put the two of them aside.
Yes.
I've seen that, Adam. Yeah. Hey. Well, that's our picks for the year. So now we're going to come back and give you a condensed version what we think is going to happen in week 1. So stay tuned, folks.
Welcome back to the I Formation. I'm here with the Reverend Jeffrey Gibbons, and we're going to make our picks for week 1
And
of the NFL season.
True to form, like last year when I went off to a blinding fall behind in week 1, I'm differing with you on 5 picks this week. So, I'm going to look to the Lord above to help us. But actually, above us would be my second floor. So, I got a lot of places. That's a long distance. Let's start with first game of the season, and this is a good one. And these are without prejudice. I got to say, folks, as much as we don't like some teams and things like that, jumping in here now, and you never know how this is going to sound. So, game 1 Thursday night, we got Pittsburgh in New England to play the championship Patriots. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking Le'Veon Bell is out. I'm thinking Martavis Bryant is out, and I'm thinking you got a pissed off Tom Brady coming in, and I think he's going to throw a couple touchdowns to Gronk. I think Pittsburgh is going to keep this close, and I see a high-scoring game here. I'm not sure if you do. I do, because both teams, the secondaries are just not good. New England has taken big hits on secondary as well. I mean, they lost Revis, they lost Browner. Not the same. So I see a lot of points going up in this game, but I'm going to pick the Pats to win it by a touchdown.
I think it's going to be a heroic sort of cowboy end, and it's going to be less than a touchdown. And a matter of fact, I'm going to say field goal, and I'm saying 45 points total.
Okay.
So I'm picking the under here. I think that you're right. The secondary, especially for the Patriots, Revis Island no more, and I think that they exploit that downtown.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown. And I think that they win this by a field goal.
I definitely can see a big game for Brown, yes.
Yep. Next we got Green Bay going into Chicago to play the Bears. Actually, it's more like the Bears.
Yeah. How do you see this one?
I see 14-point win for Green Bay.
I agree.
Yeah. Next, moving on, we have Seattle going into St. Louis. And I think you want to speak with pissed off teams. Here's a team that needs to make a statement right from the beginning saying that we are just as good or better this year.
Okay.
And I think that they make that statement. And the Legion of Boom is going to show that great pass rush and that great kind of infiltration that is the Seattle Seahawks defense.
St. Louis got a good defense there too, and I see this as, I still see it Seattle by 10. But I don't think that there's a lot of points put up in this game.
No, I think there's turnovers are going to be a big thing here. This is Nick Foles' first run at targeting that offense.
And they got to face Seattle.
Yeah, so that was all part of that. Yeah. And I think that people wondered about that trade, when they traded for Foles and Bradford. I liked it all the way. I thought that both teams gained, and I think that it'll be just interesting to see it goes. But. Okay. But no, you're right. I think that it's a 10-point game, but it's driven by the turnovers.
Yeah,
and I think
don't
Seattle
think
wins
St.
this
Louis
defense.
puts up any points in this game at all.
No. Good road game, good push. Next, we got Cleveland going in to play the Jets.
Close one?
Yeah, I think so. I think Cleveland's got that kind of a team that they're just going to be in the game, but, it's like you can drown 6 inches from the water surface. And I think that's where Cleveland is. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Jets just win this at home. They've made some good changes this year. They've made some big additions, and I think that they're groomed to win their home opener.
Great secondary, great corners.
Yep.
Jets are all around have a great defense, actually.
I think so.
Keep an eye on Cleveland. They have a new nose tackle, rookie Danny Shelton, who's going to make a difference on the row line this year. I think Cleveland keeps this one close, but in New York, against that secondary and Josh McCown throwing the ball, I see Cleveland being weak. Both teams are weak at quarterback, but I just see the Jets having a bit more here and field goal, maybe a bit more.
Yeah. I'd say within a touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't call spreads.
No, that's right.
That's right. So straighten that for the record. Next, we got Carolina going into Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. And I just think that we talked about that Carolina defense because that is the big piece of that team. I think they show up here and they beat Jacksonville at home by 10+. That's just my call here.
I'm going to pick Carolina in a little bit of a closer game. I think Jacksonville has enough defense to keep the points down a bit. I like Carolina by a touchdown.
All right.
Yeah.
So next we got Kansas City going into Houston. We disagree on this one, of course. Mm-hmm. I think this is a close game one way or the other. And I think we're going to see for the first time Kansas City coming up against a very formidable Houston defense.
Yeah.
But they're going to show where they've grown offensively. It'll be the chance now for, for Travis Kelce and of course Macklin to show what they can do and spread that field out a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but I'm picking them by a field goal to go into Houston and up for the upset.
And I think this one's really, really a coin toss. I went back and forth on it a bit, but I will go with the Houston Texans. I just think that they have a great defense. Now, Kansas City, they have a great pass rush, great pass defense. Not sure that their ground. Dontari Poe, I'm not sure he's questionable going in, and he's nose tackle's a big part of their defense there for the running game. And I think I know Arian Foster is out. I'd see Alfred Blue showing up, and I see him putting 100 yards up on the Chiefs and a field goal. Houston.
Yeah, it's a field goal, one or the other. Just remember that name, Jeremy Macklin, when he makes a big play to get him in the field goal range late in the game and wins it for them. That's just where we are. Okay, next we got the Miami Dolphins going into Washington to play the Washington Redskins, if we can still say that. The new look Dolphins, and by new look, certainly most of that emphasis being on the defensive side, and Ndamukong Suh being added to that front three. It'll be a chance to see how Kirk Cousins handles that, as his first game as the starter for the Washington Redskins, and I don't think it's going to go well for him.
I don't think it's going to go well either. I mean, you got Cameron Wake. I mean, you got Ndamukong Suh is more of a specialist on the run game, but he'll be there as well. And who's on the other side again?
Olivier Vernon.
Yes, Vernon as well. So these guys are beasts. Miami has tremendous defense this year, and they've got some offensive weapons as well. I see Miami winning this game in Washington by 2 touchdowns.
And that's if they take it easy.
Yeah.
Next, Indianapolis going into Buffalo to play the Bills. And I said to you today earlier when we were talking a little bit about this, this is going to be a closer game than a lot of people think. Buffalo is, while we've both decided that they're not going to figure in the top 2 spots in the AFC East, they can come up with a big win. And they're always tough in Ralph Wilson.
They are, and they got a great pass rush as well.
It's going to be figuring these guys out in the first half, and Luck is the kind of quarterback that's going to build on that in the second half. That's where they win the game.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you got Andrew Luck versus Tyrod Taylor.
This is just the latest of the messianic complex that is Rex Ryan.
Yeah.
And he's proving the Peter principle once again, that he's risen to his own level of incompetence. You really need to stay at that defensive coordinator position. I don't think he's a head coach. I think he's got too much of a mouth to be a head coach. I think he's got too much something being a head coach. But that's it. We'll see if he proves himself there. Yeah, sure. That's it. The Tyrod thing is, that's Tyrod Taylor's thing.
How long will that last? We don't know.
Oh, I'd say that'll be over fairly quickly. E.J. Manuel showed some pretty good brilliance in one of those.
I think E.J. Manuel is a capable quarterback.
Yeah. Got to give him a chance to grow, and I think that maybe this is his way of doing that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think that the Colts pull away in the second half.
I agree.
Next, we got the Saints going into Arizona. There's a tough road game for the New Orleans Saints to start their year off with a bang. We both picked them to win that division, but we're both picking them to lose in Arizona.
In a close game, yes.
Yeah.
I think Arizona has the defense that will show up here. Arizona's tough to beat at home as well, very tough to beat at home. And maybe you'll see a little bit of revival of Larry Fitzgerald here. You never know.
Barry's cousin.
Yeah, that's right.
And with New Orleans going more to that run game kind of a in your face kind of football, Arizona has been known to be tough defensively at home, and I think that when New Orleans went through these periods of, I guess, anemia offensively, where they couldn't just get the job done, this is a team that can really, really stog up the holes, and I think it's going to keep that part of the game away, because Drew Brees on any given day can put 30 points on the board, getting in a rhythm. I don't think he does this in Arizona. I think he scores maybe 17, maybe 13.
I like it.
And, these guys win by less than a touchdown.
Yeah.
You're right.
And you mentioned to me earlier that you wanted to mention Brandon Cooks as well.
Oh, yes. Brandon Cooks.
Brandon Cooks, New Orleans, going to have a big year.
Yeah. Not necessarily a big game in Arizona.
No.
That's true. Next, we've got Detroit in San Diego to play the Bolts. And, Darren Barrow, this one's for you. I know that you're out there talking about San Diego going to the the Super Bowl. You'll notice that they didn't even come up in our conversation this year, so we disagree on that certainly. But I just think that not having Sue in that front defensive line now for Detroit, there's an adjustment period. And I just think that Phillip Rivers is going to have a big game at home here as a home opener.
I agree. I think San Diego wins this one. I don't see it as a blowout or anything, but I think
they keep it close, but I think Rivers goes for 400 yards, even though the game is close.
Okay, I like it.
We'll see how it happens. Yeah. Next, we've got Baltimore going into Denver to play your Broncos. Surprise, surprise. I know what you're picking.
I'm going to go with the Broncos, of course, a mile high. Even though I picked the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, I just think that Denver's going to come out here. Peyton Manning got something to prove, like he does every single year, it seems. And I think it's a close game. I'm going to pick Denver by a field goal, just because they're at home.
I think we're going to see going in there. This is like the ultimate surprise attack.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of underestimation. I mean, Baltimore should never be underestimated because they're a good balanced team. They've got the run. They've got a good quarterback. Actually, they've got a great quarterback in Joe Flacco.
Underrated.
Absolutely. One of the strongest arms in the league.
Definitely.
And one of the best winning percentages since he came in 2008. And, just a good, solid quarterback. But I think that they go in there, they show their balance, and they surprise Denver at home. Maybe they just get Manning out of that little bit of a rhythm. They're winning this by field goal. That's my call. So this is a great close game. Great game to watch this week. Probably game of the week.
Baltimore can establish the ground game here, then yeah, they can certainly do it. I'll still go with Denver, though.
Okay. Next, we got the Titans going into Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers. And I mentioned the whole James Winston learning curve here. This is what I'm laying on. I think Tennessee plays the penultimate road game here, and they go in and they surprise them. And I'm going to say a touchdown.
I like Tampa Bay to win this one. I think it's a close game. I think Tampa Bay is at home, and they got a good defense there. Levante David leading the way. And I think Winston is a capable quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a star this year, but he will be in the future. With regards to Tennessee, I really like this guy, Dorial Green Beckham, who is 6'5", has been compared to Calvin Johnson. Great hands, great athlete, and he's going to have a big year as well. I'm just going to pick Tampa to win this one by a field goal, maybe even less, maybe about a single point here. But I'm going to go with the Bucs.
Okay. And you all know my luck with picking the Tennessee games over the last couple of years, so this is probably going to bite me. Next, we got Cincinnati going into Oakland to play Oakland.
The hapless Raiders.
In the black hole. I just think the Bengals are just too much team for the Raiders. It doesn't matter. Raiders always put up a fight at home, but at the end of the day, there's just way too many offensive weapons in Cincinnati, and I think they school.
Yeah, look for a big game on the ground from Jeremy Hill in Cincinnati. A lot of people don't pay much attention to it, but Hill had a great year last year, and he's going to have an even greater year this year. The only player I'd like to mention on Oakland is wide receiver Amari Cooper, rookie coming in, and he looks very good. And I think he's going to be Oakland's #1 go-to guy this year.
Okay.
So we both picked the Bengals.
We do. Next, the last one of our disagreements, and that's the Giants going into Dallas to play the Cowboys. Here I go. It sounds like I got no Cowboy love at all, but I'm picking the Giants. These are always it's a great rivalry, great games.
Always.
And I just think that Manning is going to come up with some magic thing he's going to pull the David Tyree out. He's going to find that receiver late, and they win this by a field goal. It's just going to be that close.
Okay. I like Dallas's offensive line to show up and keep the Giants defense in check. I see this as a high-scoring game that is won in the fourth quarter by Dallas.
Right. Dallas.
Who the?
Right. Next, we got Philadelphia going into Atlanta to play the Dirty Birds, playing Falcons. This is our first look now, like I say, for real, at that Chip Kelly realignment of that offense. And, DeMarco Murray going over there. There's just a lot of things going on in Philadelphia. I see Tim Tebow thanked them for his opportunity in there. He had a couple of good moments in the preseason. Actually, I watched some of the stuff he did. Again, we have to keep in mind it is the preseason.
One-trick pony.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah. One prayer pony.
Yeah, one prayer.
My prayer pony. All right. Yeah, it just gets worse here.
Yeah.
Remember now, man of the cloth has to respect someone like Tim Tebow.
Bottom line is Philadelphia has a good defense. Atlanta has a decent defense this year too, but the thing here is that Philadelphia also has a very good offensive line, and Atlanta's offensive line stinks, to be blunt. So Philadelphia should win this game by 10 points.
And I think that Chip Kelly's going to continue with this hurry up, right? He's going to keep pushing that on this team, and that's a pretty scary kind of scenario when you think about the offensive weapons he's got and trying to match defenses without a change. Like, that's going to be a real trouble for some of these defensive coordinators, and it's going to help them in their division. This is why I'm leaning in that direction. I'm saying 10 plus. And finally, we've got the second game. I think both of these games are on Monday, actually. Minnesota is in San Francisco for the late game to play the 49ers, which you'll notice were totally absent from the conversation at the beginning of this episode.
Not much to say.
Really isn't.
No.
You know, Mom always said if you can't say something good, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
And I can give you 126 million reasons why I don't like the San Francisco 49ers.
I'm not going to say anything bad about money that Colin Kaepernick's an asshole.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything like that.
I mean, I wouldn't cheapen his name by calling him Crappernick or anything.
No.
But Albert, I'm so sorry. I'm just reaching out to our homeboy here who's been watching for a lot of years. Big school.
Is Albert even like Kaepernick?
I don't know.
Not
I don't
sure.
know. But he's a fan. Like, you got to roll with that.
No, we like the Niners, who just don't have anything this year. They really don't have
Yeah, that's
anything.
right. And there will be very little bicep kissing out there this year. I'm pretty sure.
Niners will be back in a few years.
They will, and they'll build on what they know, and that's defense. And
That's
I think that team will bounce around between the people that have left and the people that are suspended and the people that are arrested. It's a pretty rough year out in San Francisco.
So I guess you know who we're going with. Both of us are going
Yeah.
Minnesota in this one.
Minnesota, who are really going to keep pace, like I said, in that division this year, and they're going to push the Packers. And like I said, when you put AP back, tips the scales, right?
That's right.
So that's the games for this week, folks. Last piece now. Stick around. We're going to tell you in a minute about our player and team of the week. And we're back with our players of the week and teams of the week. And John, why don't you lead it off today?
I'm going to pick my team of the week as the Green Bay Packers. I see them going into Chicago and winning in a big way. And I see Jordy Nelson's replacement, Devontae Adams, replaces Jordy. Jordy's gone for the season with a torn ACL. And I see Adams showing up for this one. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a couple of touchdowns here.
Setting the tone, eh?
Yeah.
That's a good call. I like it. And of course, me picking the Pittsburgh Steelers this week, Graham, to beat the New England Patriots. I'm going to go with them, and I'm going to go with the person that may make the difference out wide that's going to put the pressure on the corner. That's downtown Antonio Brown. Man. So that's the first show, and we've got all of our picks out there, not only for this week but for the year. And in our haste to get going already in this show, we forgot something very important at the beginning, and that's to thank everybody that has been watching the show now. Thank you very much. We really enjoy doing this for you, and we hope that you're getting something kind of cool out of this, whether it's comic relief or you're actually finding something and you're winning in your football pool, or maybe you're just picking up a pro line now and then, whatever that might be. But we do enjoy doing this. And remember that we have a presence on Facebook, so you can go to the I-Formation page on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter as the I-Formation. Certainly you can send us an email at gmail.com, the I-Formation at gmail.com. And we're always looking for your opinions. Like our videos, share us, get us out there. So that's pretty much everything for me this week. Is there anything you want to add?
I'd like to thank John Timmons, our ugly producer, and I'd like to thank him for putting aside his ballet practice to come and do this for us. And thanks, John.
You do realize he's the guy with the camera and the editing suite, right?
Yeah.
Like, he could have you sitting there like in a pink bunny suit with very little effort. Certainly, we could probably have you sitting there in a pink bunny suit with very little effort. All right? So, that's the way we see it, folks, this week. So, I just want to remind you all, remember, enjoy the games, enjoy the start of another great NFL season, but remember, respect the game too, and please, don't drink and drive. So, if there's nothing else, man, it's good night for me.
And it's good night from him. Have fun.